Hello, everyone. Very good afternoon. So thank you, everyone, for joining. We shall be starting the webinar in next 2 to 3 minutes. Thank you for your patience and thank you for joining.
Hello, am I audible?
Yes, you are.
I may know.
Yes, this is Ekta. I'm making you the co-host. We'll be starting in next 1 minute.
Hey,
Thank you.
hi,
For joining.
Jaitilak. Good afternoon.
Hi.
Hello, everyone. Very good afternoon. So before I start, I just want to know if I am audible, loud and clear. If someone can please let me know.
Yes,
Yeah,
Ekta.
you are audible.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. So hello all, once again, a very good afternoon. Myself, Ekta Dubey, And on behalf of the Brinalytics team and our partner Exotel, we welcome you all on a very interesting webinar that Stop Revenue Leakage, Enhance Service Delivery in Consumer Durables. Thank you all for joining the session, and we look forward to make this very interesting and engaging with you all. There would be a Q&A after the sessions and the panel that we would like to encourage and have an interesting engagement with you all. So what you can do is you can put your questions on the chat box, and we will take it from there and address to our panel speakers and our moderator. So before we move to the interesting part, I would like to introduce our partner, Exotel. Exotel is one of the Asia's largest cloud telephony companies, working with 4,500 plus businesses, including top enterprises and startups. They solve communication problems for various industries, be it automobile, e-commerce, cab aggregators, BFSI, or fintech. Exotel is a secure and reliable business phone system on the cloud, simple to set up, no additional infrastructure or equipment required. And now, before I start, I am just going to run a very interesting poll where I would like to have your engagement. So please have a look at the poll and help me with the results.
Yeah, I think we have the poll results.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, so I can move to the next element, right?
Yep.
So Mr. Angira, I have just put you on the spotlight. So now, moving to the another keynote presentation, I am having a very interesting speaker from Exotel, Mr. Angira Agarwal. To speak about him, he leads the global pre-sales, GTM, and strategy and the India business at Exotel. In this GTM role, he works closely with the organizations to identify industry trends, use cases, and growth areas of Exotel. So thank you, Mr. Angira, for joining us with today. Over to you.
Thank you, Ekta. Quick question. Am I expected to run the presentation or will someone run it for me?
So yes, we have from your team, Shruti, and so you can run. I have made you the co-host, so you can run it from your end, not a problem at all.
Great. So hi, everyone. Thank you, first of all, for joining. Very excited to be here. As consumers, all of us really look at a great product. But one of the things that matters the most is also in terms of how is it that we are going to be. Sorry, just let me pull up my presentation as I start. Is my screen visible?
Yes, it is.
Okay.
But you need to, yeah.
Fantastic.
Sounds
So
good. Yeah.
as users, all of us, I'm sure, when we buy a consumer product, a white good product, a refrigerator or an air conditioning, now that the summers are approaching or are already here, or when we look at buying a water heater come it's winter, we look at a great product, but we also struggle with how is it that we'll deal with the overall product experience. And if we were to run a poll, I will not ask Ekta to do that again. But if we were to run a poll and say, look at the last consumer product that you bought worth more than 10,000 rupees, and how long had you had the product that you replaced it with, I'm sure it'll anywhere be between the vicinity of a 5 to 10 year period, right? And that's typically what happens with most of us. So what I did want to do was talk about how do you ensure that not only the product, but also the customer experience is fantastic, and what we as Exotel have seen other organizations doing in this space. Right now, as people are becoming richer and richer as the GDP is rising, the Indian consumer durables industry is also growing significantly. It's a huge market. What 20 years ago used to be a luxury is today the norm. Most of us have air conditioners in our homes. We also will have refrigerators in our home. And we are also now buying through multiple channels. Earlier, we would have one or two stores, the local store that we would buy from. Today, there are multi-brand outlets. Today, there are brand-specific flagship stores. And of course, a lot of our products are today bought online. How is it that we as consumers, and here I'm wearing my consumer hat, how is it that we as consumers get a unified experience across any of these purchasing channels that we decide to use? Right. Again, we have connects to our brands, right? While one may say, hey, a brand is a quality product, some of us swear by certain brands, even if we recognize that they're not the brands that they need to be, but we swear by them. And that emotional connect continues to be a very strong driver. And that is also something that tailors our perception about the customer experience that we do. And this is something that is extremely critical for any organization to be able to build brand trust. Again, and I'm sure most of you have done that, the Indian consumers browse online typically, right? So the last time I bought an AC, I spent enough time on Amazon and Flipkart and a few other sites before I decided where I would buy that from. And why is that so? Because it's a product that's going to sit in my home for at least 7 to 8 years. Therefore, it's a high involvement product. And most consumer good products today fall in the high involvement bucket. They are high involvement products. This is an interesting insight. When we were talking to a lot of organizations, and we have the Forrester research to back it up, there was a significant drop in the consumer experience for across brands. And this was interesting, considering that, hey, it's 2022, the world has opened up. Why should customer experience drop? And further research, when we reached out, this is what we saw. We saw that people had moved from what were traditionally offline channels to buying a lot of these products online. And there was a significant shift, primarily accelerated by COVID also. And as a result of that, the communication that existed between channels, the communication that existed between service partners who was actually servicing a product, renewing our AMC, delivering on the AMCs, and the end customer, there were gaps there. And this was leading to inefficient coordination between these channels. The other part that we also noticed was that the benchmark in terms of what is a customer experience had gone very high. And this had dropped dramatically. As a result, what consumers expected versus what was being delivered, there was a huge gap that had come in. So that again imposed a huge challenge on what brands could do. And this is where a lot of brands started investing. And this is, by the way, a rhetorical question. Is being reactive a challenge? Of course, it's a challenge, right? Brands are now recognizing that one bad word in social media today can have a huge impact on the way the brand is perceived. Right? So the ability to identify the causes, the ability to know where is it that we're losing revenues, is it that we could have a customer engaged more proactively? Is it that we could have delivered better services? And during the life cycle of product, could it have an impact? Again, when an AMC is being renewed, how is it that the communication is happening? Is it that you get an email with the AMC renewal? As the poll that Ekta did at the beginning of this call indicated, most of us prefer WhatsApp. So is it possible to send out a personalized message saying, sir, here is the AC AMC renewal for the period 2023 to 2024? Can it land up at a WhatsApp message? Again, understanding how customers want to be communicated to. I just used an example of saying, send it to me via WhatsApp. But a lot of people may say, send it to me via an email. I will store it away in a drive somewhere, or I'll store it in a folder on my laptop, right? So that's something that's changed. Now, the whole consumer ecosystem is unfortunately a very large ecosystem. And therefore, to make changes from what were traditionally legacy engagement management protocols to newer ones, it's always been a challenge. So a lot of brands have struggled with being able to make that change in the way they are engaging. And this has resulted in some extremely complex journeys. The end goal, of course, is how do you build consumer advocacy? I will not name the brand, but a lot of consumer goods at home are typically from a specific brand. And when I have to make my choice for the next air conditioner that I'm going to buy, I'm sure I'm going to say, hey, let me buy from this brand. I have had good experience from them across. And that's where advocacy comes in. But there are multiple stages, right, to a customer journey. And a customer can hop from interest to straight away purchase. They may choose to go by what someone else has told them about the usage of the product or the service of the product. And that's how actions get taken. That is something that has a huge impact in terms of how the journey is happening. The other part is we assume that the journey is linear. I will identify a product, a need. I will research brands. I will choose the product. I will go to a store, look at it. I will then decide which is the best price point and I'll buy that product. When I need to get my product service, once it's delivered, I will always make a phone call. I will always make it at 9 a.m. in the morning. Those are all incorrect. Today, when you look at your behavior, it's extremely based on how you feel or what's the most efficient modus that you would prefer to use at that point of time. And therefore, the journeys are not linear. They're actually quite disjointed. And today, brands offer multiple touch points. Do you visit a store? Do you reach out via SMS or WhatsApp? Do you send an email or do you make a phone call? There are multiple mechanisms that exist today in terms of how we as consumers could reach out to a brand. So the whole life cycle may seem to be linear, but actually it is not at all. Consumers would go from any stage to any stage. And this is where some of our journeys come in. This is where we work at how do we optimize the touch points that exist. So when you look at it, what we're talking about here is how do you run SMS and voice campaigns very effectively? How do you create awareness? Could you use SMS and voice in that stage? Do you use outbound messaging or WhatsApp to make things happen? When you are purchasing, and let's say evaluating a product and you have a question, is this air conditioner capacity sufficient for the size of the room I have? Can I get some more information? Would I understand if it will really work well? I have a question on the quality of filter that is used. For those of us who are based in Delhi, pollution control, AQI is extremely important. Is it possible to get that information? Typically, there are multiple channels that exist, but in certain cases, maybe there are channels that are just sharing information, so they may be a lot more effective. And the cost of managing that may also be a lot more effective. Once you purchase the product, how is it that you go through the journey, right? You may reach out for customer service. How do you ensure that the best method is used to be able to get that service request fulfilled, put into the system and fulfilled? Would you prefer to get a consumer call? Would you prefer to call a consumer? Would you prefer to get a WhatsApp interaction going? To update the customer, would you just send out an SMS and move that forward? Similarly, from a support viewpoint, we all talk about chatbots today, and with ChatGPT, with generative AI, chatbot is a subject that everyone talks about. Is it possible to be able to drive that through support bots? And the quality of support bots has really improved. Is it going to be a chat, which is a text-based bot? Is it going to be a voice bot? Which is the one that's most effective? Can it be multilingual? Can you provide information in terms of getting onto a video call and guide the customer to navigate through how to fix their television, for example, or how to fix their air conditioner, for example? And then once the service request is fulfilled and the context is set in the system, is it possible for you to also go back and get customer feedback? And how do you get it very close to the point of time the service was delivered? Right. And this is where some of the journeys come in. And this is where our experience has been that organizations that have been able to do that successfully, effectively across the products are able to drive better traction. Would you use a phone call? Multiple mechanisms. I'm not going to talk through the slides, but there are multiple mechanisms that could exist. And then how do you reach out? How do you get their attention? How do you move them through the whole ecosystem is something that needs to be unified. And one of the things that we experience is that someone comes and sells us a product. But once we use the product and we make a service request, even if it's the same channel of communication, we may still be asked to provide information or talk about it again. And that becomes a huge challenge when brands are trying to unify the context in terms of how they reach out. Again, these are things that we've seen organizations do very effectively. There is extremely high level of personalization that we have seen. And with the amount of data that's available on a consumer today, it's extremely easy to be able to do that. So for example, Kunal, you got your AC serviced 6 months ago in October. It's about time for you to get it serviced now that it's March. As an example, right? How do you know that this is the best time to reach out to Kunal? But you address him by name, and if you realize that Kunal is aged 75 years old, would you address him as Kunal or would you address him as Sir? I'm sure customer service, if you address him as Sir, would you be ready to have your AC service tomorrow? Would make more sense. Similarly, having a full view. So we have an engineer who's visiting you, who's going to be servicing your AC. But if you also want to get your refrigerator service, we can send a different engineer who will be able to manage and service both the products at the same time. So how do you give that experience to the customer? And then, can you automate it? Can you make it faster and more efficient for the customer? All of these elements effectively map the journey and put that together. Again, in today's era, with money always being tight, it's extremely, extremely critical to be able to get the maximum bang for the buck. So how do you drive better collaboration? The example that I used, you don't send the AC servicing and the refrigerator servicing guys independently, but can you have the same team reach out? And as a result, you can arrive at much, much better ROI on the cost of service that you could deliver to your end customer. This is where Exotel comes in. Exotel fundamentally has come together through the merger of two other entities, Exotel and Ameo and Cogno. And therefore, what Exotel is able to do is to give you a full-fledged solution, be it talking about customer platforms. How do you drive engagement through multiple methods? Is it going to be a phone number? Is it going to be an SMS? Is it going to be a campaign that you're running? The second component is how do you drive contact center as a service? How do you drive that together? No matter where you are, whether it's inbound or outbound. And the third piece is the conversational AI, which is talking about the fact that can you have a text chat that is happening? Can you automate it? Or can you have a live agent behind that serving you? And then putting all of these together to be able to drive a unified experience for the end customer. Of course, a whole list of customers that we worked with, organizations that we worked with, very, very strong in the customer service space. We worked with multiple brands and we've been able to deliver, help them deliver outstanding experiences to their end customers. We are happy for you to visit our website and be able to see what else we do. But one of the things that we believe is extremely important today, and we touched upon it briefly, is the context. So you as a brand want to engage with your end customers, but do they have a context? And if you look back, think back about the point of time when you meet a friend, and let's say you hadn't met that friend for 5 years and you meet him or her again, you start off from where you had left off. It's like connecting again at a completely different level. And that's where Exotel enables for you as an organization. We enable you to be able to engage with your end customers like a friend. So thank you. That's it at my end, Ekta. Over to you.
Thank you, Mr. Angira, for sharing your insights. We have a question on the chat box. It talks about how do you ensure data privacy and security while implementing connected customer conversations across multiple channels?
So that's a great question. One of the things we are extremely particular about is that it's your data. It's your brand, it's your engagement with your customers, and it's your data. If there is data flowing across channels, it will flow across your channels only. It will not flow from one channel to the other. And as it flows, we ensure that we have all these security protocols in place. We have the appropriate processes in place within our systems. So when you run them and deploy them, it works seamlessly. And that is something that Exotel brings together very well. If you were to look at working with multiple providers, the transition of data from one channel to the other is something that may or may not necessarily adhere to the data privacy norms that you may have. In this case, that's something that we are able to drive very effectively across.
Okay. Thank you so much, Angira, for answering that. So, yes, thank you once again for sharing your insights. Now, moving on to the another interesting part of the session is our panel discussion, where I would like to introduce our speakers, Mr. Azlan Khan, Service Head West, AO Smith India, Mr. Jay Tilak Mazumdar, SBU Head, Hindware Home Innovation Limited, Mr. Angira Agrawal, Global SVP GTM Strategy with Exotel. And now I would like to introduce our moderator, Mr. Kunal Pandya, Senior Consultant GTM and Strategy with Exotel. So thank you all the speakers once again, and thank you, Kunal, for being a moderator. Over to you.
Hey, thanks, Ekta. Welcome everyone to this interesting webinar. So we'll be running a few interesting questions for our panelists on board today. Welcome, panelists, and thanks, Angira, for that excellent presentation.
Thank you, Kunal.
Yeah, let's. Hey, hi, Azlan. Hi, Jatilak. Welcome, guys. We are ready with a few questions. So I'll start off with Jatilak first. So, Jatilak, as Angira was mentioning in the previous scenario in the presentation he just brought up, the customers' requirements and preferences are constantly changing right now. I know, and that's it. I know their expectations pre and post COVID are completely different, and it's changing every day. It's very random, and you'll have to be up pace with all these expectations. As a brand, it's very difficult to anticipate what a customer really needs out of the transactional mode. Not the everyday asks that a customer has, but are we able to predict the behavior in the future? So my question is, what are the common challenges you have, faced by your business in understanding customer needs and wants in the consumer durable industry? Jadila, I think you're on mute.
Consumer industry, durable industry is going through a kind of exciting phase, I would say. Being a conventional general trade and all, kind of a omni-channel player, we are facing primarily three issues. One, the consumer expectations post-COVID from a consumer durables company organizations is very, very changed. Have big three reasons is that the business become omni-channel. So basically, you may discover a product in Amazon, then refer the product in Reliance Trends, Reliance Digital, and then buy it from somewhere else, a nearby shop from your home, or exactly opposite journey can happen. And sincerely, it's not possible for most of these brands to create the similar experiences or the SKUs across the product line. So that's one of the biggest challenge. So where I've discovered the product, I've bought the product. Where I've discovered actually wanted to buy the product, I've either seen the product is not available or higherly priced. So there is a disjointment in the business, number one. Number two, there are no-frill companies which are coming up. So for example, in small appliances, there is a brand called Agaro, which is a complete D2C brand. And there are multiple other D2C brands which are coming in. And they don't carry the baggage or the kind of overhead we carry because of our complete operations. So they are a kind of no-frill organizations and offer, I would say, kind of lot of cases, a better feature or, faster conversion they do in terms of their feature rather than us. Okay, so these are the two big reasons where you are really, so I would say rather the organizations who are old-handed or the bigger in the thing, the moment you get into the e-commerce or digital as an overall medium, you actually become a level playing guy. So everything is level playing for everyone. So it is more about a feature comparison between the product, then price comparison, then defining, price versus feature. Whereas the only differentiation you can create as a brand or the commitment you create as a brand as a differential service. And
Right.
realistically, that becomes even more difficult uh, because the expectations of the service become very different. Okay,
Right.
in the last 3-4 years. So I would say these are the major 3-4 challenges which are coming up.
So
Now,
are you
coming up,
saying, sorry, Jatal, I'll just want to jump in there. So you're saying, it's a commodity at the end of the day, any consumer durable brand, but you're saying service would be an indicator in the field right now, right?
I mean, primarily the way you
Right.
try to define, because when the feature becomes same, so
Yes.
it is typically happened 10 years before or 8 years before in typically, in handsets. Okay. And then it happened in accessories. Now it is happening in consumer durables. So all
Correct.
the brands are same. Talking about a feature, this feature is the differentiator. If you
Correct.
have a very differentiating feature and continues for a long time, which in consumer durables generally doesn't happen, then the service become the only, I would say, a kind of differentiating factor in terms of expectations, because actual service delivery happens once the consumer faces it, correct?
Right.
And obviously most of the cases, in all cases, be it product, be it service, luckily, unluckily, Indian consumer gives feedback only if it is negative. So you rarely get a positive feedback. So it's basically your job as being a business head, handling the business. One of the big business headache you carry, saying that what people have written across, platforms, be it Amazon, be it Google, be it any of the search module, be it Mouthshot, and you have to act on it. And
Correct.
eventually the brands which are big and not acting on it, we have seen officially when you talk to the consumer, they discover, and there are consumers, quite a high number of consumers, they look at the brand or the possible brand he wants to buy, what kind of negative feedback he has on the digital as a platform. So
Correct.
you need to be extremely sensitive about the complete digital as a ecosystem. That's number one. And as because you are a commodity, then service becomes the only differentiator, I would say.
Right. Ideally, it should be the entire experience with the brand the consumer is having, and that ideally
Correct.
becomes a
But
differentiator.
the problem is if it is a transactional view of
Right.
Reaching to Amazon and comparing the product against the price,
Yeah.
then it's and the consumer is taking the decision at that moment. It is difficult to create that experience. That experience starts once the material reaches to his home. That experience
Absolutely.
could have been created in a modern trade store. Okay. But my problem is that disjointed communication, saying that the guy may be reaching to a modern trade store and he's not buying it, he's buying it at the end of the day from Amazon. And he's
Right.
choosing my product over all other products in Reliance because my promoter is good, his communications were super. But when he goes to Amazon, he says another 3 better products, even equally or better than my brands or a D2C brand, and they're giving a better price. So you get broken.
Got it.
Just a minute, hold on for a moment. I need to stop a video for a minute.
Sure, sure. Jatal. Yeah.
Yeah.
Right,
So,
Jatal.
yeah. So audible. So that's where the biggest challenge comes in. So what
Got
I
it.
feel, the understanding the consumer expectations probably today gives us from 3 things. One, once you officially reaches to a set of consumer through an FGD or any kind of customer survey, that we continue to do, and that is our one of the channel. And another important channel, once you go through, I would say, intelligently or through an algorithm to multiple feedback or if you go to multiple feedback or reviews across the platform, it happens. Be it negative, positive, you can see for yours and consumers what's the kind of expectations people are keeping.
Right.
And another
Absolutely.
important factor is internationally, if you see, obviously in India it is coming up, and the biggest differentiator are the 2 in Indian market in terms of consumer choice now. One, Indian consumers are very clear about putting a capex onto a product, saying that typically buying a costly product, they don't mind.
Yeah.
The problem is whenever there is an OPEX or operating cost, consumers are extremely sensitive about it. Okay. be it electrical
Absolutely.
usage or be any other kind of, maintenance, services maintenance required. Once you talk about saying that, yes, there is a savings to it, people are choosing that product. That's number one. Number two, smart product or typically a product of connected appliances is something which people are talking about. So typically there are brands which are coming up saying that probably there would be a fan or a TV and their remote will carry or connect everything in the home. So there will be one remote for the complete appliances for the home. Okay.
Right.
Or for example, a product which will be, would be giving according to the temperature, it will be changing its throw of air or its throw of, chillness.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
mean, there are multiple smart appliances which are coming up. On, for example, water heater is something which is extremely, I would say, people looking out for use cases in smart appliances in the product. For example, you are 5 kilometers away from your home and your water heater starts because you want a hot water exactly when you are reaching home.
Right.
Correct. Now, the problem is there are two. One is that when you create understanding the consumer understanding and creating the product, how will you communicate the product back? That is one big challenge. And we are still trying to figure out what's the challenge, how will you crack it? And second, once you create a product, there are multiple stages of India. So, for example, a product which is extremely well accepted in Gurgaon, Bangalore, or Delhi, you may not be available. I mean, it may not be relevant somewhere in part of
Absolutely.
UP. Okay.
Absolutely.
So there are many Indias in the Indias, and you need to figure out saying that exactly what kind of product you can pitch. And
Correct.
it is more or less possible nowadays because you can create actually a pin code wise availability in Amazon or Flipkart.
Correct. Absolutely.
So I would say consumer expectations understanding is one big thing. Maintaining the expectations once you create the product through service or any kind of interactions is another big thing. And the third important parameters, and frankly speaking, across the industry, and I can take wow onto it in terms of industry till I would say 2022, service was always taken a backseat. Because product
Absolutely.
sales and marketing are the areas where we have looked at the possible, interventions you can do. Service eventually started coming back to us. I mean, typically as a sales leader or a business leader, we started taking service very effectively. I mean, very, very consciously, and we got into everything where you have a visibility of any kind of product or any kind of reviews you see about your product, which is live. Until the time you do not remove it, your future consumers are checking it every day.
Correct.
So I think that is another area of concern which people have understood. Now, service is typically, like international market, is almost as good as or as important as sales today.
Right, Jaitilak. Sure. Amazing. There are very interesting insights that you have brought up. I just want to also understand, Angira spoke about being really proactive rather than being reactive as a brand. And, there's a lot of advantages to being proactive as a brand, as you said. Post-sales service is something where brands really want to be proactive about.
Yeah.
I really want to know, how can business effectively implement the next best actions for a customer? I mean, can you predict behavior? How can companies really do that?
Look, being a business leader, we have created this kind of product line for a long time. So typically, I would say there are two kinds of products in consumer durables. One product where you need to serve it on a regular basis. Typically, a AC and water purifier, which you said that periodical service product. Okay.
Right.
Now, once you look at typically a product like fan or a TV or a washing machine or any other kind of product or an air cooler or air conditioner, so you'll typically find out these product when doesn't work, people goes for servicing. Typically, you do not look at as a AMC as a concept. Now, and frankly speaking, you face much more challenges in these products. Okay. Though, the challenges are many in terms of water purifier, there are multiple brands, including a lot of brands I know got failed in water purifier because they could not manage the service expectations.
Yeah.
I understand that, but still the bigger challenges is sitting on the next set of product.
Correct.
Now, in the next set of product, there is a concept which has come up in the 2019-20 by a set of, I would say, research and development guy, and we being a set of business heads who have backed it very well, saying that you can create a predictive chip-based programs
Mhm.
which will be sitting inside of these products, which is required to be serviced. And any kind of wear, tear, temperature changes, it gets sensed out and
Mhm.
it throws the data in your mobile, or if it is not in the nearest service center details, it gets connected to you. So typically, after the chip senses it, it sends a message from a service center to you saying that your product in next 48 hours, you require a service, please suggest, do we call up and fix up a
Right.
time, typically a cognitive mechanism to understand and do a predictive service.
Right. So you're saying we build something at the product level itself rather than
Correct.
maybe operationalizing it.
Correct. But typically, this happened in the year of 2019-20, the product was almost ready.
Right.
Now, somehow it has an impact in terms of pricing, and as a businesses, no one have taken the call, and probably people have moved out. But yes, that module is ready with few of the vendors, and people can be implementing it.
Got
I
it.
personally think a typical dual income home who doesn't have time to manage service at a level,
Mhm.
people would love to have this product.
Right.
Probably I'll be expecting me or our competitor to be launching this kind of predictive product in next 1 or 2 years.
Great. That's good
I
to
mean,
hear.
that's the
that,
only way
yeah.
to become a kind of proactive guy. Only
Correct.
case of AMC, you can say the AMC periods are known to you. Because most of these cases, the most important part is that how do you know? Another important part which you have spoken about at that point of time, that also didn't work, a kind of unified service mechanism,
Right.
where typically an app carries all the mobile number per se. And
Correct.
if you say, I have a Havels fan, then it automatically, your app dial the Havel call center number, right call center number at that point of time, and connect you to the agent or a bot.
Right.
I mean, to
Right.
ensure that it works. But again, these things have taken a backseat, but I believe that these are the things which are required in terms of servicing.
Sure, Jaitilak. Thank you so much. So Aslan, we'll move to you next. Thanks for joining, Aslan. So we talked about connected customer conversations at Exital, and we really believe in powering that, enabling personalized, efficient, and effective customer journeys or interactions with the brand is what we believe. We just really want to understand, Aslan, from you. Can you really explain us and the entire crowd here, what would be the concept of a connected customer journey for you and connected customer conversations rather, and its importance in service delivery? That's the region you are particularly coming from, right? So we really want to understand what's that concept to you at your company right now.
Yeah, Kunal, thank you for inviting me.
Thanks.
Actually, as most of the topics about most of the points regarding the consumer durables were covered by Meera and Jaitilak. But I would like to make a point here that we live in a world where customer expectations are constantly changing, and
Correct.
for businesses to have the competitive edge over the competitors can be many. It cannot be. We cannot define it to just one part of the product life cycle, right? Connected customers, I would like to first explain what connected customers to me in service means. Connected customers are usually the customers which interact with the brands through digital platforms or in multi-channels, and and mainly through digital platforms wherein they can work on, they can talk to us through website, apps, and all. So when it comes to consumer durable service industry, usually when a customer tries to contact us, no one in this fast-paced environment wants to be on hold. They want
Correct.
a very quick response to their request or a query, because when we talk about after sales in specific, it's like it's usually the 11th hour situation where our customers are in. And if we bridge the gap, if we as brands and businesses, if we identify how can we effectively invest in our infrastructure, or especially in the service side, that the informations are being passed to the customers. The customers don't have to wait for just registering a service request, and they don't have to wait for almost 10 to 15 minutes on the call center. right? That can
Right.
bridge the gap. And for brands, we need to understand, we if we want to have a competitive edge, we need to give customer experiences, a good, delightful experiences to our customers at every touch point.
Absolutely.
Be it when they contact us for the very first time, or I'm talking about at the end where they want to upgrade or change the product.
Right.
So once we bridge this, and like in service industry, there is a problem. There's a huge problem of lead time that the customers or you and I have to face still to get us heard. Do you
Absolutely.
understand? Like
Yeah.
if you have a problem, we see our LinkedIn's flooded with, oh, Ola. Like let's say an example of Ola. The people, I don't know, there has been a shift where people are just coming up to a LinkedIn and posting it on a LinkedIn platform. Why? Because why I give an example of this particular company. It's a technology very advanced company, but I think is there something missing? Like
Yeah.
we can take an example where as a service, a person who's in command of a service for a brand, AO Smith, I can see a shift where I'm getting the feedback from social media, and the feedbacks, if the feedbacks on the social media, if they're good, they're good. If they're bad, they can make or
Yeah.
break the brand.
They're very brutal. Yeah, I understand.
Yeah, so the customer experience, people need to work and invest on giving the personalized experiences to the
Right.
customers. And when I talk about connected customer conversations, when it comes into practical implementation of service delivery, I think we need to have more technologically advanced call centers. Then we can't be multi-channel in this time. We need to be omni-channel, and we need to provide an integrated services to the customers, wherein with one click, whatever they need, they are getting the information, be it automated response, or be it like generative AI.
Right.
Uh,
Right.
if we use generative AI at our call centers, we know until what time we need to give a preset responses to the consumers. Once there is there comes a time when it is required, a human sympathy and empathy is required for the customer. That is
Correct.
when they need to get in a person in touch with the customers. So I believe at AO Smith, we over the period of time, we have on not just AO Smith, the brands which are there in the market and would be coming. I believe they need to follow and create a very symbiotic relationship
Right.
between the human strengths of empathy and sympathy
Right.
and the technology, because the customer experiences can make or break the brand. And I firmly believe that if we give good experiences, for example, I'll give you an experience. When suppose if there's a customer A who who is in an 11th hour situation, wherein he has registered a service request with the company. So in a traditional method, the customer calls a call center and registers a service request, and then he waits with no clarity who will be coming, at what time he'll be coming.
That's a broken experience basically this guy has.
You'll be getting calls from a person who is assigned, and they'll be rescheduling the appointment. That can happen, right? So customer A that we are talking about, his experiences will turn into a better experience there. Whereas if you have an interactive app, the moment registering a service request becomes easy. And once you register a service request, what if in 2 hours you get a call and you get information of who is assigned to you, what is his name? Like during the COVID times, we also included through our app the messages, proactive messages to the customer, saying that these are the vitals of the engineers who will be visiting. When I'm talking about the vitals, I mean temperature and the cough, and whether he's vaccinated or not. Then the customer customer gets the confidence, like the company is taking care of them
Yeah.
in whatever the condition is.
It's the
And
brand closeness which a customer feels when this sort of journey happens, right?
and yes, they do. And they also get the time slot, the time when the engineers is coming to them, and when the engineer comes and they follow certain procedures which are preset by the industry, well, by the businesses or by the brand. If they do it, they end up giving a delightful experience, and that is why the companies gets a competitive edge. As Jayat Tilak was saying,
Yeah.
how can service, yes, service is no more behind the sales vertical. Service is almost equivalent right now.
So it's a
It's
revenue
almost
generating
there.
unit rather, right? Service can be looked as a absolute revenue generating unit in any company right now.
Exactly. And that is why we have seen Surveyfy, we have seen G's, we have seen One Assist, and we have seen a lot of warranty services companies coming up, or startups coming up in recent times. And they all want to create an experience, right?
Absolutely.
So I think that is how it is. That it's very important to have that symbiotic relationship.
Sure.
And I also firmly believe, Kunal, in today's time, that when businesses says that reactive and proactive approach, what Angela was saying, I
Yes.
think the businesses who proactively sees how effectively they can change or upgrade their service infrastructure, I think they will have more edge. And when I say they will improve or invest, I mean to say how they upgrade the infrastructure, because we know the technology is the future.
Yeah.
And as a service person, I am very keen how generative AI will bring a paradigm shift in changing the traditional approaches we had till now.
Right. On that, Aslan, I just want to ask a follow-up question to you. So we spoke about generative AI. How do you want to balance the human engagement with the generative AI? How are you looking to mix these two experiences for the customer at AO Smith?
Generative AI and human, like I said earlier also, that we need to have industry experts in developing the
Absolutely.
algorithm, to be honest, and there needs to be a threshold where generative AI responses needs to be included, because we humans tend to believe word of mouth.
Yeah.
We like to talk to people now, since since the technology has spread across the country and everyone is using a mobile. They know what's a chatbot response, what's a preset responses. So I think why the things that I at AO Smith, what we would like to I would like to see over the period of time would be like, in the chat box or in the generative AI responses, we can give a personal figure wherein the customer is connected, right? And ensuring that there will be there will be a resolution, empathetic responses, not just a person gets irritated by seeing the same set of responses, and
Absolutely.
and one can make that out.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I think generative AI, if I see, I think more humanized responses, personalized responses, but with a threshold of bringing in the real human at the right time, at the right place, because if customer experience is good, loyalty will be there, word of mouth will be there.
Yes.
So I think in India, we are the most populous country, and the most young population in the entire globe.
Right.
We believe in word of mouth, and we believe in advocacy when we talk about, right? So if we are able to create those experiences, I think to cater to 145 CR people, I think that will be also one of the critical factors in deciding whether the businesses will grow or will leave, and also about the perception that they create in the market.
Sure. Thanks a lot, Aslan, for that. Angira, are you there? Hey, hi, Angira. I have a question for you, Angira.
Please.
So I just we heard about our connected customer conversations from Jaitilak and Azlan. Just want to pick your brains on how can a connected customer conversation create a competitive advantage, number one, and secondly, drive revenue for a consumer durable industry.
Sure. So when you look at it, today we are a very impatient generation.
Yeah.
Right. And I talk about all the generations that exist. And when we want things, we want them done now.
Yeah.
And we don't want to explain again and again what we explain to someone. And
Right.
we expect the brands that we provide our money to be able to understand us better.
Right.
So therefore, if you explain to someone or set a context in one channel with a brand, we don't want to be having to explain or detail out what's transpired again and again. Right? That's one part.
Hmm.
Similarly, in a lot of cases, I'm sure when we reach out for something, for a service issue, for example, or let's say we want proactive maintenance done, we do it when we are mobile, which means we could very seamlessly be switching from one channel to the other.
Correct.
So these two pieces, the fact that we are impatient and that we may actually be doing a lot of this from a mobile phone, requires the ability to be able to seamlessly switch between one to the other.
Hmm.
And that's where the whole connected paradigm of connected customer conversations comes in. And how do you connect? It's not about the telecom infrastructure that connects you. It's about the emotional connect. It's about understanding the customer. It's about having a context that matters a lot more. And this is something that can have a huge impact on the way connected conversations are seen. As Azlan was saying, it's not about being multi-channel, it's about being omni-channel. How do you move seamlessly from one to the other? Right? That's one. And the second question in terms of how can brands leverage customer service as a ways to generate revenue, it's a very well-known fact. Appliances are generally becoming more expensive, and therefore most of us have AMC on the brands that we buy.
Correct.
AMC by itself is a huge revenue generator for most brands. However, I'll renew my AMC if I know that when I needed the support or service from the brand, they were there as needed, right? So if I'm calling up for a fan, not a fan, sorry, if I'm calling up for an air conditioner that is not working, does the engineer call up or does the engineer send a message? But does the engineer land up in the next 24 hours and services the AC is required? If it's preventive maintenance, yes, 24 hours is good. But if it stopped functioning, is the response 2 hours? And if that's done once or twice or thrice when it's needed, the next time I have to renew the AMC, I will ensure that I renew that AMC and I pay the 2,000, 5,000, 8,000 bucks that is required. And that's a huge revenue generator because it's assured revenue in the books of the brand.
Absolutely.
So those are two elements I believe that are extremely critical. How do you deliver a great experience as part of your customer experience journey and transform, by delivering a great experience, transform a cost center to a profit center?
Yeah.
That's what a lot of organizations have done and leveraged, right? It's like an insurance premium. You pay an insurance premium, but very few people actually require insurance, thankfully. And that's how the revenues come in for the insurance companies. That's how customer service, customer experience can make revenues for the organization.
Right. Thanks, Angira. Excellent answer there. So I just want to continue with a couple of more questions, and this is directed to Azlan as well as Jaitilak. We all spoke about how technology is going to play a very pivotal role in providing our customers with that experience they are looking at. Okay. Azlan also spoke about how importance of integrating data-driven insights back to your feedback loop, what we want in the at the management level as a brand. So I just want to understand from the two of you, what are some latest trends and best practices for delivering connected customer conversations? What do you guys use? One, what do you guys follow? And what do you think are these latest trends in creating these conversations? Yeah, Azlan or Jaitilak, anyone can take that.
As Angira said that it's whatever revenue generation is a byproduct of the customer experience, right? I would not say that I have an example for it, but I know the medium through which we did we did see things moving ahead for AOSmith, and it was developing a mobile app for the customers.
Right.
And Angita said, we want to get things done when we are mobile, and luckily we did all. We introduced everything in our mobile app, right from enabling customers to generate a service request, to see the entire history of the customer, of the products that they have bought, what has been serviced, and also the AMCs. And by providing messages to the customers through mobile app, through messages, through emails, and through our field verticals, that your AMCs is about to expire, and also our products are also designed in certain ways, like when we talk about purifiers, that it has a self-alarming mechanism in the purifier, which talks to the customers on behalf of the brand, and bridges the gap and allows the customers to not be on the 11th hour position.
I need to
There
buy
is no
EOSmith
middle-
right away. I
Yes.
need to buy EOSmith right away for this.
We will be really happy to provide you the service.
Thanks, Aslan. Thanks. Yeah. Jaitalak, do you want to add in?
Am I audible now?
Yes, you are. Yeah.
So, my personal feeling on overall basis, if you look at in terms of customer today having two basic differentiation than I would say 3-4 years back. Once pre and post buying the product in social media, they are bombarded with multiple communications. And number two, service generally in Indian context is considered to be either satisfactory or bad. Something, a delight or a customer feeling delight out of a service is yet to be achieved, at least on the Indian consumer context.
Correct.
And in fact, the consumer also feels saying that if the service is given, it's given. I mean, there is nothing to tom-tom about this. So overall, understanding about the service excellence or service delight, there is a requirement of change from both sides.
Right.
Consumer media organizations. However, I can see in the top 20 cities where per se, typically urban company operating out of these places, and say service itself is a revenue generating factor, which Aslan was talking about. And probably then service is valued that way. I mean, probably in these part of the market.
Correct.
And eventually across India or across at least I would say top 10, 12 crore or 15 crore market, which is currently operated up to 30 crore market, where service would be continued to be a differentiating factor. And the most important part is it would be difficult to copy paste. I mean, you can't replicate. You can replicate a product, but you can't replicate a service.
That's a very valid point, Jaital. Excellent point made there. Yeah, you cannot replicate service. It has to be a differentiator if you want to be top there.
I mean, this is physically, it's like a physical distribution. So if you don't reach to that outlet, you don't reach. How best the product you do have.
Correct.
Typically, so yes, there are multiple work happening, and I'm very sure Aslan can talk about it more in detail. But just to give you out of my limited knowledge, there are service excellence programs which are happening. For example, very of the few brands who are not great in that service and they are doing very well in terms of their top line are talking about handing over their, kind of a service level to typically an organization like Carbon Company or a Reliance service arm, saying that let them do it. If they can't do it, then we'll be putting our own manpower to get it done. But come out of these service center typically because they're small, it's difficult to handle. So eventually, if it is a national distribution partner or a regional distribution partner, it is came up because people or the business leader have thought of saying that these are the partners which are extremely important for us because they create the right retail experience or a distribution experience for the retailer. Probably a regional partners, I mean, and they are already there, but they are very clearly that's on the anvil, saying that there will be a regional service partner which will be coming up. A lot of brands would say, saying that it's better to have our own sales and service partner who are specified in that job. It is our job to create more and more better product.
Correct.
So there
Correct.
are, I think that probably that's where a unified service experience or service delight would become.
Sure, sure, Jatilak. Thank you so much, panelists and speakers. So, I'm done with my set of questions, but we have one very interesting question in the chat. Anyone from the panel can take it. So there's a question from Namrata asking, how do you effectively handle negative customer interactions and feedback and turn them into opportunities for growth?
I mean, I'll just give you a very small example.
Yeah,
We
sure.
had something called a smart water heater.
Okay.
And smart water heater is nothing but smart water heater can be created in two ways. One is through a chip or a PCB and through a smart plug. So I've taken the second option, saying that let's have a smart water heater, which have typically having a smart plug, and smart plug allow you to use the all basic smart function on your mobile through your mobile. Now, once we were trying to sell it for general trade for a long time. This time we have taken decisions about selling it through Amazon. Okay.
Okay.
And so basically we used to sell 1-2 pieces, and our average rating was coming around 2.2, 2.4. And individually, as because we were the seller, we used to get the consumer number and we used to call up each consumer. I mean, there is a dedicated resource in the organization who used to call up each consumer saying that what kind of difficulties they face. Now, the difficulties came up to be very simple, saying that people are not calling, though they have a kind of formal free installation service. They are not calling people for installation. They themselves are trying to install it. And as because this is a automated or a smart product, they are not able to, the local plumber cannot explain him the smart as a feature. So there is a dissatisfaction because he's not able to understand what is a smart as a feature. So eventually what we have tried to do, saying that we are trying to pre-call all these consumers, started calling the consumers and communicate them what is their difficulties. We have helped them. We have reached to them physically at their locations, explain them the product. Starting from 1-2 as a daily run rate, I believe in a month, we have touched around average 70 to 80 run rate.
Okay.
And
so you have physically called them, is it? From your
physically, because the size was very small, and you can track those guys and can do it, correct? Because because we are going through also a learning phase. Now, these 1 to 70, our rating also from 2.2 to 2.4 to reach to 4.8. Because each consumer has been treated that way. Now we have created an automated mechanism where the consumer is getting an SMS. We are trying to connect him. If he's still not, focusing, booking a call, in that case, we are calling them back. But the objective of this case study is to share is very simple, saying that it was clearly a kind of negative feedback from the consumer because of understanding issues has been given positive. And in fact, my earlier organizations have done so. And that was the experience I've implemented it. So that's typically can be done. On a closed door, smaller scenario. On a bigger scenario where you have multiple feedback issues like your service are bad or pathetic, in that case, the only options is you have to rectify those service experiences. you have to go to each consumer, rectify their experiences, and really they will be plugging it back with a feedback back. Okay.
Or maybe just go omni-channel and use multiple channels to reach out to the customer, what's their requirement.
That's basically problem. In this case, it's simple, saying that if you have a rating of you have got rating of 10 and all the ratings, average ratings at 2.2.
Yeah.
The consumer will reach because you are discovered as a negative brand or a low rated product. So nobody will buy you.
Correct.
So first you have to rectify these 10 consumers with a 2.2 rating. Then only the 11th one will come.
Agreed, Jatilak. Thank you so much, Jatilak, for that. Okay, so I think we are done with the set of questions. I don't see any questions in the chat books as well. So
we have one poll, yes, Kunal.
Yeah, sure. Go ahead.
So hello, I would like to run one poll quickly. Yes, this is the poll we have started.
So Hector, do you want to wait for another 10 seconds and then call it out? Okay, you've done it. Sure.
I'm sharing the results. So any comments you want, Aslan?
So really interesting. So most of us feel the right channel across a customer journey is absolutely pivotal. It's a very important pain point which the brands are having right now. And any comments, Aslan, Jaitilak, on this, Angira? So the top two ones are predicting the next customer action and the right channel, which we actually discussed during the entire session today. Yeah. Any comments, Angira, Aslan, Jaitilak, on this? Any closing thoughts?
I mean, Aslan, if wants to answer, he can. So anyway, so basically, the biggest problem today, which you have spoken very, I mean, rightfully thought about, saying that we are trying to still figuring out what's the right channel across the consumer journey when he discovers the product and when he actually buys an experience.
Right.
I mean, that's the most difficult, challenging journey because he doesn't only have his own experience, he's going through multiple experiences and he's comparing my current product against all the products, which is even more challenging in the current age.
Right. Sure, Jaitilak. Thank you so much.
And Kunal,
yeah, Aslan, please
what
go
I
ahead.
have to say is like, what can be the right channel as we started the webinar? There cannot be one right channel.
Absolutely.
It can change and it's uncertain. So, we need to be omnipresent.
Absolutely.
So
Agreed.
that, I have one thing to ask to Angira, if I'm allowed to.
Please, Aslan.
Angira, I was seeing your presentation and I have seen that you have helped so many brands to evolve the infrastructure. What is your thoughts on how Indian service infrastructure has evolved in last decade? And what is the potential of us, like the service infrastructure, to grow?
Aslan, that's a very, very good question. When you look at it increasingly with technology catching up, products are becoming broadly similar. The differentiator that exists from one product to the other is minimal. Yes, because of some advertising we've seen, we have some emotional connect with the brand. Some of it is also linked to how we have experienced the brand, and that is where customer experience becomes a core differentiator. So, and I'm using the example of air conditioners, excuse me for doing that, but any air conditioner is broadly similar. The functionality is similar. Maybe someone will come out with something dramatically different, but in 6 months, everyone else catches up, right? So the only differentiator is where the customer experience comes in. How fast is an organization able to respond when a customer faces a challenge? How effectively is the brand able to resolve that the first time? How is the brand able to engage with the customer across the channel of their choice, not our choice? Often we tend to believe that, hey, the most effective channel is voice or SMS or WhatsApp. But what really works for your customer, how do you hyper-personalize that is where the differentiator comes in. And in our experience working with multiple brands, multiple organizations, we've consistently started to notice that a lot more of them are investing heavily in the customer experience framework. Again, I don't have permission to use names, but when we were speaking to a white goods organization, their whole focus was, if the customer actually does not like the brand and they want to like the product and they want to return it, we'll take it, no questions asked. A classic example of this, and I know it's not a white good brand, is Decathlon. You can walk into a Decathlon store even 6 months after you bought a pair of shoes and say, hey, these shoes seem to be not working well, or the sole's been worn out more, which is actually a good product, a good measure. That means that you're using the shoe more. They will replace the shoe. Now, I'm not expecting anyone on this call to start going to Decathlon and replacing all their old products. But the reality is, when consumers realize that the brand is willing to go out to that extent, they don't really take the brand for a ride. They actually behave very honestly with the brand. And that changes the customer experience dramatically. So that's what we heard from that brand. And they said, you know what, our whole focus is the user should say, next time I'm going to buy this company's product only. Next time, I'm going to ensure that I have peace of mind by taking AMCs from them. And that's where the whole revenue paradigm comes in. So organizations are investing heavily. A lot of them that had gone out to use third-party entities have started to bring that in-house because they've realized that this is a core differentiator that could exist. So that's what we've seen, Aslan, and happy to have a conversation with you here, how you are looking at driving this and how it could become part of a bigger story.
Thank you.
Right. Thanks, Ankita. Thanks, Aslan. Okay.
I think there's a question from Puneet.
Yeah.
Raised his hand. Yeah. Sorry, Kunal, I jumped in, took your role.
Sure.
Yes, Mr. Puneet, please, you can mute yourself and put your question.
Yes, Angita, it was a wonderful session. I was having some point just to add to this connecting customer experience. Right now, what we have discussed was from the perspective and from a viewpoint of a service department as a whole, where we all discussed that different product categories, as you just shared, that when a service person is going for servicing AC, then the customer can be asked that if refrigerator service can also be added upon. So that will save on cost also, so that will give benefit to the company and to the customer also, because customer is also two things has been done in the single visit. But one more perspective, looking at the whole connecting customer from the perspective of sale as well as the service department, but not thinking both the things as in failures, but if offering AMC vouchers, say for say they are in water purifier, there are 4 services in a year are required for every quarter. So if one AMC is offered as a free service voucher at the time of sale, and that can give a boost to the service department, and that will give a probability that the customer might sign in for experiencing one free service, experiencing that he can go for signing off for the complete year AMC and become our patronized customer, which is good, which is desirable for the company. And similarly, at the time of our AMC customers, while servicing those customers, if we offer some delightful thing on the sale part for the company's another product which the customer might buy. So if some say 500 rupees discount voucher, or if say 5%, 10%, whatever, some maybe it might be on percentage discount voucher at the time of AMC. If our service persons are given those vouchers, which are giving a customer delight on and adding a sales perspective, sales probability of the customer buying on another product. So this kind of integration, looking from the pinnacle point of the organization as a whole, where service department and sales department are both connected, so that can also fetch better results in connecting customer needs and company profitability.
Absolutely.
What are your views?
These are good suggestions. I have, in fact, the first one, giving out one service voucher for free, is actually a great suggestion, because if executed well, helps the customer experience the quality of service that you offer. And they really like it, they would immediately subscribe to taking on AMCs, which are also revenue generating. Second one also has been tried, right? And it does work, some kind of discount vouchers, etc. And in a lot of organizations, smart service engineers are also able to leverage that to upsell or cross sell some other products. So great suggestions, Puneet. By the way, which organization are you with?
I'm business head for Kenstar.
Okay, great.
Yeah.
Thanks, Puneet, for that.
Thanks, Angira. Yeah, it's a great session.
Thank you so much.
Okay.
Thanks.
Kunal.
Thanks, Puneet. Yeah. Ankita. Any other questions? Yeah. Sorry,
Yeah.
someone is coming in.
No, I was just asking like any questions so we can take it, or then we can have a final closure from you, Kunal, and then I can do
Sure.
the.
Sure. Okay. I assume no more questions, but yeah, thank you so much. I would really take
Sorry,
a moment,
Kunal.
yeah.
Sorry to
Oh,
interrupt. We have one more person
okay.
raising hand.
Sure,
So
sure.
let's
I
not
always
stop that. So yes,
100%.
Mr. Pander, what your name mentions, please put your question to our speakers.
Yeah, this is this is Rahul Pandey. My ID has been registered here. So thanks for and sorry Kunal for interrupting.
Absolutely okay, Rahul. Absolutely okay.
I just want to share my thought on this on the piece of proactive maintenance that had been discussed. What I had observed is proactive maintenance is very is I mean, it has been thought of as a valuable addition in the customer service, but we have to be really careful when we are connecting it with the peace of mind of the consumer. This is something that I have observed personally when we were trying to add features into the proactive maintenance. We had to be very careful in not giving extra headaches to the consumer, and not I mean not telling them every time that hey, you need something to be maintained now, otherwise it will get fail in a couple of months or so, or like that. Because I'm if I think from the consumer point of view, my product is working fine, and somebody calls me suddenly and says that hey, your product is going to fail and you need to maintain it and you need to do some servicing. uh, uh, I don't know how the consumer will take it, whether the consumer will appreciate that somebody is worrying about my product, or whether the consumer would not like to be known and hey, my product is working fine. Suddenly somebody is telling me that it may fail in future, and now I'm worried. Now I'm not happy about it. And so this is something that even I have observed when we were trying to establish some kind of proactive maintenance feature in our servicing, and this is a real challenge that we found. So that's just one thought I wanted to share.
Sure. Great thought, Mr. Pandey. Thank you so much for coming in. I just want to know which organization you're from.
Whirlpool, it's a home
Okay.
appliance maker. Yeah.
Yes, absolutely. We all know Whirlpool. It's a good brand.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. Okay. Any other questions to the audience? Any other questions? Okay.
So I don't think I see any questions. Yes, you can continue, Kunal, and then I can. Yeah.
Sure. Thank you so much, Ekta. But thank you so much to the entire audience here. I would really, take a moment to thank the panelists for sharing excellent insights in the entire session. Thanks, Jaitila, Kazlan, and Gira. Thank you so much for being a part of this. And actually, thank you everyone who joined this session. And now it gives us a word of thought. I mean, in today's discussion, it was pretty clear that customer experience is actually a key to building brand loyalty and driving revenue at the end of the day. And this all comes through by providing a seamless, say, a delivery or a personalized or proactive communication that we discussed. And at the end, it all boils down to an excellent customer service. I really hope the discussion has been informative to the entire audience here and valuable to all of us. I mean, we as Exotel will, look forward to continuing this conversation with all of you and looking forward to meeting you guys in person. But thank you so much for your time. And yeah, thank you to the panelists as well. Yeah, Ekta, over to you.
Thank you. Thank you, Kunal. So on that note, I would like to thank you all for making this webinar insightful. Thank you all our speakers for taking out your time and sharing your thoughts. Of course, not missing a lovely audience. Thank you once again for your time, your questions, and making this engaging. Thanking our partner Exitel for associating with us and giving us this opportunity to bring down leaders like you under one forum. We shall be sharing the session video with you soon with a thank you note. And we shall be also trying to reach you to connect with Exitel for one-on-one brainstorm session for an introductory call, as Kunal mentioned. And till then, take care of yourself, stay safe, and have a lovely evening ahead. Thank you, everyone, so much.
Thank you, everyone.